This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and in today's video we're going to talk about fire management in an offset grill. Now, of course, this one is the Char-Griller Smokin Pro E1224, but these tips work for almost any offset grill, and I'm just going to walk through my process of how I start my fire and how I manage it in a couple of little instances, by adding smoke and reducing smoke and just some basic stuff. Now, this section was recorded with another video, and I'll be running that video, which is a chuck roast video, in a couple of weeks. But I wanted to get this video out and on the YouTube channel so that way you could see my process in how I'm managing the fire. We haven't really talked a lot about fire management in the last couple of videos, and that really is the most important with a standard offset smoker. I haven't done anything yet, but we're going to go ahead and start from the beginning, and then we'll go from there. So first thing I like to do is find a couple of nice symmetrical logs that I can lay across the bottom. I have set my extra grill grates in the V pattern like this, so they're on each side. And then what will happen is that allows air to move freely around the fire. Now you can see that I have two pieces of wood here, but this one is too big for the start. So I'll set this to the side and move the first one over towards the opening. And then I'm going to kind of point it down just a little bit, so that way I can get it as close to there as possible, but as much air will move around it as possible. Then this one, if it fits, would be a great option for here. And it looks like it's going to, just barely. Let's see if I flip it around a little bit, if it fits better. Oh, and it does. So now those are nice and packed in there tight. And we're going to put in a couple more. I like to work towards the back first, because when I'm managing the fire, it's easier for me to pull chunks this way than it is to reach over hot coals, because it can get really warm in here really fast, and then you singe the hair on your hands. I don't know if I have any left or not, but if I do, then it's only one more day before I burn it all. And when I have these smaller pieces, I like to save them for the light, or else I could put them right here near the edge. So get a couple of good pieces like that. And that's just going to make a nice bed for the starting charcoal. This one's kind of big, and so it will go right in there. Not big around, which makes it a good suspect for the front. Now that's all I need to get started. Maybe one more chunk right in here. So the rest of the starting charcoal will be stuff that I pre-light. And for that, I'm going to use my charcoal chimney. When I'm done with my charcoal chimney and it's hot, I like to set it underneath the firebox, because this is a really hot area all the time. And so by putting it underneath there, I avoid the chance that somebody might accidentally touch it, or I might bump into it myself while it's still hot. I like to get about 6 or 8 briquettes in there, and today we've got 8, so I want to position them around. They're not blocking anything important. Each one is going around there, and I don't know if you can see that, but we've shown other pictures of this, and if I find a good one, I'll pop that up there. Now, I do want to kind of make sure that there is a little bit of gapping between them, so there's good airflow on all sides. Okay, now I'm going to load in a few pieces of this. That's the maximum size I want in there. I don't want anything any bigger than that. Like this, too big. So what I've put in here is 4 nice chunks of lump charcoal on top of the briquettes. Now, something else that I can do is I can throw a couple more briquettes in here just as kind of like retainers. These briquettes light really fast. And they also have grooves in them so they give good airflow. Toss a couple of those in the back there. And then when I go to dump in my hot charcoals, it'll just sit right there. So you can light this in many different ways. I recommend that you use a piece of newspaper with a little bit of vegetable spray on it. Set that on the ground, light it up, and then set this on top of it. However, what I normally do is I use my propane grill side burner. That is also another great option. A small blowtorch will work well, and if you have matchlight charcoal, you can put 1 or 2 of those down in the bottom and almost just light it with a match. It depends on how much of a hurry you're in. So let's take a little break while I go light this, and I'll be right back. We are so close to ready here. Now, first I'm going to show you a picture of what it looks like inside the firebox here, and then I'll show you a picture of the charcoal chimney that I just took a second ago. Now, it's really close to ready. If you take it to an area where it's nice and safe, you can give it a shake. I don't really want to do that too much because it gets everywhere. Also, what you could do is you could turn over the top couple pieces, just kind of like that, rotate them around a little bit, get a little bit of fire on them, and then let them go for another minute. We're going to go ahead and wait about 15 more seconds now that I've turned that piece over to make sure that it's lit, and then we're going to dump it into the firebox. It's been 15 seconds, and I wanted to point out something that I like to do when it's going and sparking a lot like this, is I like to put it in the firebox directly over where I'm going to use it. That way some of the sparks might fall down on the other charcoal, but also because it reduces the amount of wind and it keeps most of the sparks in there. Notice that I have moved away from the house from some of my previous videos where if I use an electric smoker, I'll smoke really close to the house on top of a metal or concrete surface. But with this, I will not smoke anywhere near the house. We're underneath a carport, and the only burnable surfaces are this and the backdrop. We've got this going really good, and we're going to go ahead and dump it in. If you want to, you can use the tongs and feed each piece individually. And when I was first starting this, I kind of did that, but I never have done that before. I've always just dumped it in. I'll set that down there in a nice safe spot, and then I'm going to grab my garbage tongs here, and I'm going to go ahead and position this around a little bit. I just, like I said, dumped it in. Wherever it landed, it landed. Looks like we're only going to lose one little piece of charcoal there in the back. It'll provide heat, but it's not on the pile, which we kind of wanted to do that. The charcoal briquettes light so easy, and that's why I like to use a combination of them. But during the cook for this, they just cook too fast and produce way too much ash. So I would be putting charcoal briquettes in here non-stop. But with a lump charcoal, I don't have to do that. Now, if I need a quick boost of heat, I can light a little bit of those and throw them in there, and that'll add heat to it. But don't overdo it, because you'll end up filling your container with ash, and then in the long run, you'll end up killing off your fire. Now, we've got this going here, and the next thing I'm going to do is add a little air. What I like to use is, for myself, a yard blower, but what I always used to use in the past was a hair dryer set on low. Another thing that works well is a all metal desk fan, and you could just set it on something right over in this area, like a bucket or anything that you can keep just close enough that it doesn't melt, but far enough away that you can protect it from the fire itself. As the fire lights, there will be a lot of smoke, but once it gets going good, the smoke will go away. So now let's add that air. The goal here is to add air, but not add too much that it causes it to flare up and get sparks everywhere. Now, today is a medium windy day on the creek here, so we do have a good general breeze coming through here, which will really help us without having to do a lot of work if we leave the container open. But when we close the container, now we've cut off most of the outside air, and the only way is to add it through the vents. Now, of course, we can let it sit as long as it's going good, and it will catch on in a few minutes. But I want to speed the process along just a little bit. Also, don't go on high speed or you'll just kick up ashes everywhere, and we don't want that all over the cooking surface. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and inspect it, and we can see that we have smoke flowing through pretty well. And it's burning along good. It could be a little bit better. But what we're going to do is we're just going to let it work and get all caught. And once it's completely caught on fire, it will be at our cooking temperature. Now we can monitor this right here, and we can see about where we are. I have noticed that this runs just a little under on temperature now that I've got a good feel for the smoker gauge. We just need to keep an eye on that and see where it is and where we need to cook. Let's go ahead and take a look in here. And we're burning good. There is some visible flame, which is a really good sign. I'm going to go ahead and turn it a little bit. So my goal here is to take some of these pieces of charcoal that are not completely lit and move them around a little bit with the ones that are. Always make sure to leave a little gap over here by the air vent so that way it can take in fresh air. Going to give it just a little bit more oxygen here. So if you saw that, you could see that when I gave it the oxygen, as soon as I stopped, it just completely flamed up, which is a sign that it has plenty of air now to burn good and get going. What we want is all of those lump charcoal pieces to get on fire to bring that temperature up. I'm going to give it a little bit more air, but this time I'm going to close this down about halfway. Again, don't do this near a burnable surface or burnable objects. You can see how well that's burning now. I'm going to go ahead and close this, but I want more oxygen than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out just a little bit. That's as far out as it can go because the grates that make the V shape will stop it at that point. But by doing this, I'm giving it as much oxygen as it wants to burn as much as it wants. Of course, both the vent and the chimney are open at full. So there's no way I can open more. The only way to do it is either to leave the lid open or to open the side of the box. And when you do that, you just need to crack it about a ½ an inch all the way around to give it as much air as it wants, and it'll suck in the air as it burns the oxygen. So I'm going to go ahead and push this back about halfway just so it's a slight crack, and that should be plenty. I've got it going at a real stable temperature now, and we're pushing just a little above 200. I went ahead and I added one more piece of the lump charcoal right on top of the fire, so the temperature will keep climbing. But here's another trick to get the temperature to go up and to also add some smoke to the flavoring. Now, you don't want to add too much smoke because that'll end up with bitter food. You just want a little bit. I went ahead and grabbed 4 blocks of wood out of my bag of pecan here. I like to use pecan because it is the most versatile wood, but for beef, hickory and also mesquite are definitely really good choices. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to set one of these pieces right in here, close to the opening as possible. I'm going to give it a second, and then I'm going to give it some air so it'll light on fire. By forcing it to light fast, it will reduce the amount of smoke that it puts out. If it sits there and smolders over time, the smoke will slowly roll out. So now that we put that piece in and got it to light, I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to put it over here where there's less charcoal burning. It's going to slowly burn, and I'm not going to light that one. I'm going to let that one just smoke. When you do this and you put them in, if you touch them to each other, they will act like a wick and they will all end up lighting. So we don't want that. What we want is it to smolder on the one end and light on the other end. The one that lights will actually raise the temperature faster, but of course it will burn faster than the charcoal. The one that doesn't light will smolder slowly, providing smoke to your meat. And I have been maintaining the fire nice and consistently. It does go up and down a little bit, but I've been adding some lump charcoal and some wood. Now I want to get the fire temperature to come up a little bit faster than normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some briquettes. I'm going to add about 7, it looks like. You know, you just add a few, whatever works for you, and then you get it going. So I'll go ahead and open that up. I try to make this as quick as possible. Roll that over so that way the burning side is facing up because we want this stuff to light. I'm going to kind of open up a little spot right here in the middle. And then I'm going to set these briquettes in there. Like I was saying before, the briquettes burn fast and they leave a lot of ash. These ones with the wood chips in them actually even burn faster than a regular. And then they do add a little bit of flavor, and that's why I use those. That's the Kingsford pecan flavored chips, but also the hickory's a really good one too. Now I'm going to add on top of that a few blocks of the lump charcoal. I'll keep them kind of small because I want to get them to burn really fast. The smaller pieces will get burning quicker and your temperature will peak faster. Now it's going to smoke a little bit, and the way to prevent that is to get it lit up. You take some wood chips and you put just the chips in there. Position those in a couple of places right up next to some of the coals. Then a little bit of air. And then the fire starts. And when the fire starts going, the smoke will die down. There it is. Okay, can get that closed now so that way we can work on that heat. We dropped down to 207 at the grill surface, I hope you enjoyed that video and the information in it turns out to be helpful for you. Now, if you saw anything you like in the video, there is links below to that. Just remember that my main takeaway when managing a fire is more air is better, and to increase your temperature or increase your smoke, add the proper fuel. For more temperature, add more lump charcoal, and if you need a faster kick up, you can add some wood and make sure you get it lit. Now, if you want more smoke, add unlit wood and it will smolder as it starts up. So again, thank you for watching the video and have a great day.